they care not to take along extra oil. So when the bridegroom comes, now, do you remember hearing in here that it also said that he was taken away? Let me go back to that. Verse 5, chapter 12. And she bore a male child who was to shepherd the nations. Alright, so this is the Messiah, because we know he's going to shepherd the nations. All nations will. This is the 100-fold. With the iron rod, and his child was caught away, and her child, was caught away to Elohim, to his throne. So he's not left there. He's taken away. Why? Just as the children are being nurtured, he is also being protected and nurtured. Remember, when he came before, he was taken away. Where did he go? Into Egypt, into Africa, for a time. So now he is also coming in as a child, according to this, and he will be nurtured for a time. Now, will they see him as a child? I don't know. But they will see him, according to 1 Thessalonians, because it says they will see him in the clouds. When? When the earth has been darkened for 5 months, there's going to be darkness. But they will be away for 42 months. That spewing of the water, it sounds a lot like, to me, a tsunami. It says, in verse 15, and out of his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river after the woman, to cause her to be swept away. Isn't that what we just seen? Whole towns being swept away over in Japan. That was a precursor to what is to come. So what we're seeing now is a precursor to what is getting ready to happen, but this time is going to take the children of Israel, not all, but those who are keeping the commandments. Chapter 13, verse 11. I'm going to show you something really quick here, and I'm going to move through this one. Let me go to verse 9. And if anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who brings into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword has to be killed with the sword. Here is the endurance and the belief of the set apart ones. I saw another beast coming out of the earth, and had 2 horns like the lamb, and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So at this point, the first beast receives a wound, but then he's revived, and deceiving the nations to believing that he is the Messiah. And he does great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth, and he leads astray those dwelling on the earth because of those signs which he was given to do before the beast, saying to those dwelling on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword, yet he lived. So, fire comes out, they believe that it's him, and the only way you would not know that it is not the Messiah, the only way you would know that it is not the Messiah, is that he will go against the Torah, the law of God, in subtle ways. And unless you study the Torah, you will not understand that it is him. Because remember, he gives half-truths. Chapter 14. Before I leave there, verse 16, just something quickly. Verse 16. And he caused all both, great and small, small and great, and rich and poor, and free and slave, to be given a mark upon their right hand or their forehead, and that no one should be able to buy or sell except he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of the beast. Here is the wisdom, he who understands. Let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, why is he doing this? Because he is doing exactly the same thing that Yahweh is doing with his. Remember, he will place the name in the forehead, and he's also going to give something, a rock in the hand that's going to have a name. The name of Yahweh will be given. The name of Yeshua also will be given. So what does Lucifer do? He gives you a number. Forehead and on the hand. And the mark of the beast. Chapter 14. And I looked and I saw the Lamb standing in Mount Zion, on Mount Zion, with him 144,000, having his Father's name written upon their forehead. There it is. And I heard the voice out of heaven, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunders. And I heard the sound of the harps playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne, before the four living creatures and the elders, and no one was able to learn the song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. So, the 144,000 received the name. Why isn't the multitude also named here? Because they're not the ones who get the name. The ones who get the name are the ones who will lead the multitude. And this is why the 144,000 is named here. Remember in the beginning, the 12 stars in the crown? So now this is 12 times 12. So you got the 24 elders that represent this time. So now you have, remember the woman who asked, can my son sit on your right and your left? And he denied and said, it's not for me to give, but for the Father, because he already had the 12 tribes, the fathers of the 12 tribes, the righteous ones on one side, and on the other side, you have the 12 apostles, or the 12 disciples, or the 12 taught ones, whichever you prefer, that stood with him and also died for him. And the promise was that you will receive it again. So, this 144,000 represent the 12 tribes multiplied. That's the sum 60. Now, in closing out, verse 4 says, they are those who were not defiled with women, for they are maidens. They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on. They were redeemed from among men, being first fruit to Elohim and to the Lamb. You need a good reason to keep the holy days? Well, here's the first fruit. Well, when did you celebrate first fruit? Passover, and then unleavened bread, and then the first fruit. That's when unleavened bread is first fruit. That is a Sabbath. That's what we will be celebrating in a few days. So as we celebrate that, just understand that we're also celebrating us being first fruit. For those who Yahweh, and I can't tell you who he will name, but I can tell you this. that if we keep his commands, that we'll be a part of the multitude, whether we are in 144 or the multitude. So, the celebrating of the first fruit will be paradigm. It will be the most, because this is now going into the end time feast of tabernacles, when he takes his bride out. So that's what all of this is about. Last thing I'll show, verse 12. Here's for those who do not make it in that particular gathering. Here is the endurance of the set-apart ones. I'm in verse 12. Here are those guarding the commands and here are those guarding the commands of Elohim and the belief of Yeshua. And I heard a voice out of heaven saying to me, "Write, blessed are the dead who died in the Master from now on.
Have mercy.
Yea, say the Spirit, in order that they rest from their labor, and their works follow with them. And I looked, and I saw a white cloud," there's the cloud, "and sitting on the cloud was one like the son of Adam, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sickle, a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out of the dwelling place, crying with a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud, "Send your sickle and reap, because the hour has come for you to reap, because the harvest of the earth is ripe." And the one sitting on the cloud thrust his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another messenger came out of the dwelling place, excuse me, which is in the heavens, and he too had a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out from the altar, having authority over the fire, and he cried with a loud voice, crying to him having the sharp sickle, saying, Send your sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vines of the earth, because her grapes are ripe. And the messenger thrust his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vines of the earth, and threw it to the great winepress of the wrath of Yahweh. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood came out of the winepress up to the bridles of the horse for about 300 kilometers.
Wow. So,
Isaiah chapter 63 tells us exactly who this is. Who is this coming out of Edom with his garments all stained? It is I, trotting down the winepress alone, and there was none to go with me. This is him with his wrath, Yeshua, and he is coming, and this is why no one else is doing this. This is because he alone will bring his wrath upon all the nations. But he too is gathering a harvest of those who are keeping the commands and in obedience, and he's going to take them to the Mount of Olives. The 4 messengers are stationed to bring them from the 4 corners of the nation, to take them into a safety place where he says, I have in the wilderness.
That's right.
And the blood spews out and away, but none in the place of safety.
That's right.
Will be spewed. And this is Yahweh, his time of wrath. This is also Hasatan being thrown to the earth, where he would also have a time that is also limited. Are there any questions? Yes.
I have a question.